What has to be one of the most searched questions when it comes to video games? What is the best? I mean, who wouldn't want to be the most overpowered as possible? Now, God of War Ragnarok is still relatively new, and a lot of people such as myself are still trying to figure out how things work. You have newer enemies, newer combat mechanics, the armor isn't the same as the previous God of War, and most importantly, you have relics and amulets in this game. Now, before we get started, there's one thing I need to quickly point out, and that is, I can't sit here and tell you what is the best all around, right? Something that I like to talk about, especially in my previous 2018 God of War videos, is that it's all preference based. You know, a lot of people had different opinions. I like to share my opinions on just going out there and just trying something new. You know, a lot of people would only mess around with the Valkyrie armor or with only their specific armor, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my whole thing is there's multiple ways to play this game. And now, fast forward to God of War Ragnarok, and that is exemplified even more. You can do so much in this game, even just by changing one single amulet. My goal for this video is to show you my 4 favorite, and hopefully you guys are able to pick up a playstyle that you actually really enjoy. A lot of these builds are completely different from one another, and that's exactly why I am making this video. The 4 builds I'm going to focus on in this video are the ones that you've been watching since the introduction. Where you saw the Berserker armor, that is the crazy hack and slash build, followed by a Runic Bifrost Storm build. Then you have a skill gauge build, and now you have a stun type of build. All of them are completely different, and again, depending on who you are, you can change one amulet or even a relic, and it can change your entire experience. So I highly recommend trying all of them out, and then also trying to figure out, you know, what you like. Put your finishing touches on it. Now, the first build I want to talk about is probably one you're all familiar with, and that is the Berserker build. Now, for this one, all you need is a relic for this build to be really good, because you get a greatly increased melee damage buff when you use any relic. Now, I highly recommend using a relic that doesn't have a 4-minute cooldown. So the relic that you get for this specific armor might be the best in the game, but you have like a 300-second cooldown, which is absolutely insane. The way this build works is really easy. You just activate your relic, and you have that Soulless Warrior buff activate, and then you just hack and slash the entire time. It is very good against bosses. I would say against mobs of enemies, but not endless waves, you know, because the way this armor works is you can also take an increased amount of damage. But you're dealing so much damage, it doesn't even matter, because most of the time you're going to get rid of whatever's in front of you. Now, you can make this build multiple different ways. As you can see in the beginning, I had 2 different builds already kind of pre-planned. There's a lot of ways you can play this, but the whole concept of this build is to do a bunch of damage with your melee attacks. Now, this build that you're looking at right now is one of my favorites. It's one of those builds that has just so many things going for it that the pros outweigh any of the cons. Now, in the beginning, I kind of called it a Runic, Bifrost Storm build, and that's because of the ability that you're going to see pop up, the Storm of the Bifrost, which literally just puts a Bifrost Storm around you, and then every enemy just takes that Bifrost damage, allowing you to do even more damage. The way that works is it's an amulet. I'll show you here in a second. But by activating all 3 runic attacks from all 3 different weapons, I recommend just doing the light runic attacks. It activates that Bifrost Storm. This is the amulet. Using runic attacks of 3 different weapons in quick succession grants a buff of increased stagger resistance, which is really good, and creates a storm of Bifrost. Now, this isn't something I'd use on every single build, but it's perfect for this armor set, because you're going to be using a lot of runic attacks because of the chest piece. Now, what it does is it has a moderate chance to restore a relic or runic attack that you just used back to 70% of its cooldown, so you don't have to wait that entire time. Now, that is massive. Combine that with the wrist and waist armor that you have equipped with this specific set. Now you have a 20% chance of getting a health or rage stone anytime that you use a runic attack. So you're gonna have more runic attacks and now more health and rage stones because of that. But that's not it. Wait, there's more, okay? There's a specific amulet where if you pick up a health or rage stone by hitting enemies, anytime that you recently lost health or lost rage, you can get that back by hitting the enemies after you pick up the rage or health stone. So it is crazy. There's a lot just going on. You just casually just use your runic attacks, you pick up a health or rage stone, you know, you keep doing that, and then of course you have the rage, which can also restore your health as well. So this build that you're looking at is actually one of my favorites. It's one of the very first ones I ever came up with while playing this game. Now, as much as I'm discovering new things about the game and making changes to this build, overall, it's still one of the best ones I've ever used. I call it the skill gauge build because you're able to get your skill gauge completely full on all 3 weapons dummy fast. To quickly go over the armor sets, I'm going to start from the bottom up. The waist armor is the Radiance one, where a perfect dodge allows me to slow down time for a second. This is essential for this armor because, as you can see, it allows me to get my skill gauge off. Now, it's not something you need, but it's super helpful in my opinion. And like I said in the beginning, some things you might not like and you might want to change. So I'm just trying to give you an idea. Now, for the waist armor, or the wrist armor, excuse me, the wrist armor allows you to get the skill gauge up faster, which is, you know, kind of the whole purpose of this build. But you get it so fast that you don't really need both the waist and the wrist armor set. Now, for the chest piece, this is going to be completely up to you on what you want. To me, I saw the opportunity to do even more damage. The way this chest piece works is anytime you have an enemy frozen, if you switch to your blades, you'll do more damage, and then vice versa. If you have an enemy being burnt, you switch to your axe, and then you even do an increased amount of damage with your axe. What you're about to witness is extremely cheesy, and I know it, you don't have to tell me, right? And it might not be the most exciting way to play the game, but the reason I really enjoy this armor, or this build, is because I've been ranting and raving about the stun damage in this game, and now I get to show you why. You can have an endless chain of stunning enemies, mix that with a relic that stuns enemies, so anytime that you don't have an enemy stunned, right, you activate that relic, which does like half stun damage, and then you just throw an axe at their head, you turn them around, and you just shoot them with your shield. Boom, right back to where you started. You know, and again, if you notice, it's the same armor I was using before. So if I wanted to, I could spam my runic attacks to even get these health and rage stones, but you know, I don't even care. You know, because it's just so fun to go from one enemy to the next.
Enemy to your left!
I'm going to quickly highlight the amulets that you need to make a lot of these builds super effective. So as you can see, this is the stun build. This belongs on the stun build. The very next one is the skill gauge, and so on. You guys can figure it out. Again, experiment, have fun. I can't sit here and tell you what to use, how to use it. I can only give you an idea. And I promise you, if you sit here and experiment with it, you'll probably figure out something that I don't know, or make something even better. So for the last thing that I want to talk about is the relics in this game. Now for some, it might be overwhelming, to others it might be underwhelming. I can't sit here and tell you how to play this game or how to use these specific relics. The only thing I can tell you is to keep experimenting. You know, try different runic attacks with the relics, try different armor sets. It's all up to you. It's all preference based. You know, I keep saying that because it's very, very true. The only thing I can do is show you the ones that I've had the easiest time with and the ones I think you'll have the easiest time with. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for my video. If you made it this far, I'm going to leave you two build ideas. They're more for reference purposes, just in case you're struggling. Here's two builds that can help you out, and they're completely different. So again, just give it a try, put your own finishing touches on it. As always, I love y'all, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.